The night the woman whispered, "If you protect my son, I'll be yours forever." The wind across the prairie went silent, as if the land itself was listening, because nothing like that had ever been said to the man standing before her. A lone cowboy known across the frontier for his iron will and scarred past. A man who trusted no promises and believed love was a weakness that got people buried. Yet here she stood, barefoot in the dust outside a burning homestead, clutching her trembling boy against her chest while riders howled in the distance, their torches flickering like hungry demons. And when she lifted her face to him, streaked with ash and tears, her eyes held no seduction, no trick, only desperation so raw it cut through him deeper than any knife. Because she wasn't offering herself out of desire, she was trading her soul to save her child. And the boy, no more than 8 years old, looked up at the cowboy, with eyes too old for his small body, eyes that had already seen death chasing them. And the cowboy felt something crack inside his chest, a memory clawing its way back, of a night long ago when no one came for him, when his own mother's screams vanished into the dark and left him alone with blood on his hands and hate in his heart. And that was why his response shocked everyone, because instead of reaching for the woman or making a bargain, like any other man would, he stepped back, holstered his gun, and knelt in front of the boy, meeting his eyes as if the world had stopped turning, and said in a voice rough as gravel, "Lady, I don't want your forever." And the woman froze, fear crashing over her face, thinking she'd doomed her son. But the cowboy continued louder now, so even the shadows could hear. "I'll protect him, because no child should grow up knowing no one chose him." And when the riders burst from the hills moments later, guns blazing and laughter echoing, they found something they didn't expect, a cowboy standing alone in front of a woman and her son, arms spread slightly, not in surrender but in defiance, as if daring death itself to take a step closer. And what followed became legend, because that night he fought not like a man protecting strangers, but like a father defending his blood, every shot precise, every movement fueled by something deeper than survival. And when the dust settled and the attackers lay silent under the moonlight, the woman collapsed to her knees, sobbing into the earth, while the boy ran forward and wrapped his arms around the cowboy's waist, holding him like he might disappear if he let go. And in that moment, as the child's heartbeat pressed against him, the cowboy realized the most dangerous promise wasn't the one she offered. It was the one his heart was already making. And as the fire crackled behind them, he glanced at the camera, of fate itself, and whispered words that would echo through every soul watching. Some stories ain't about blood. They're about choice. By dawn, the woman had packed what little they owned, her hands shaking, not from fear anymore, but from the weight of what the cowboy had refused, because she had offered her life, her loyalty, her body, and he had taken none of it, choosing instead a burden heavier than chains, the responsibility of a child who wasn't his. And as they rode away from the burned homestead, the boy sat in front of the cowboy on the saddle, holding the reins with small, determined hands, asking questions about the stars and the road and whether bad men ever stop chasing you. And the cowboy answered each one patiently, surprising even himself, until days turned into weeks, and weeks into a fragile kind of peace. But peace never lasts in the Wild West, because word spread that the woman's husband hadn't died in the fire. He had been murdered by the same gang now hunting them, and the leader wanted the boy alive as leverage. And when the truth finally spilled one night beside a quiet river, the woman confessed everything through broken sobs, expecting the cowboy to leave, to finally demand the price she once offered. But again his response shocked her, because he stood, stared into the fire and said, "I ain't keeping you because you owe me," and then turned to the boy and added, "I'm staying because he needs me." And when the gang finally caught up, surrounding them at a narrow canyon with guns drawn and cruel smiles, the leader sneered and asked the cowboy what a woman's promise was worth. And the cowboy stepped forward alone, hands raised, offering himself in exchange for the child. And the woman screamed, trying to stop him, but the boy ran after him, crying that he didn't want another night where someone else died for him. And that's when the cowboy knelt again, gripping the boy's shoulders, forehead pressed to his, whispering words that shattered every heart watching. "Son, a man don't become yours by blood. He becomes yours by staying." And then chaos erupted, shots fired, dust flying, and in the end the gang fell, but so did the cowboy, wounded and bleeding into the sand as the sun rose red over the canyon. And the woman held him, begging him to stay, telling him she would still give him her forever, her life, her love, anything. And with his final strength he smiled, brushing the boy's hair back gently and saying, "Give your forever to him. That's how you repay me." And though fate spared his life that day, leaving him scarred but breathing, the promise was already fulfilled. Because years later, when the boy stood tall beside him, calling him father in a voice strong and proud, the cowboy understood the truth that shocked everyone from the beginning, the greatest. Love isn't taken, it's chosen. And if this story held your heart even for a moment, don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel, because more stories like this are waiting to remind you that humanity still exists, even in the darkest times.